abroad has always been one of my dreams, but I never imagined that I would visit or live in Spain right now. 9 years ago, everything happened so quickly, and I barely had any time to do any research about Spain. And also, the internet and social media, it wasn't anything like this back then. And my partner is Spanish, so I thought that everything is going to be just fine. But that's not the case. Right now, we get most of our information online. We do all of our research before, visiting a country, going to somewhere new, going to a new restaurant. Everything comes from social media. And we sort of then create these expectations in our head based on someone else's reality. And most of the time, it just simply doesn't match. And the content that shows up on our feeds most of the time around this topic, they're coming from someone who's already in the European continent or from the US. Most of them are Caucasians, and we don't really see much content from a brown person like myself. There are, but just not enough. So that's why I wanted to make this video to share what's it like for someone coming from Asia to move to Europe. And I hope this video will help anyone who's planning to move to Spain. It will give them some help, and just about anyone who might find this information interesting. And whenever we think about moving to a new country, we often think that this is going to be a new beginning, a new chapter, a new life, and solve all my problems. Well, most of it might be true, but some of it just isn't, like solving all of your problems. That's not true. Moving to a new country, as a matter of fact, has brought me new problems. When we talk about new problems, these problems could be just about anything. One of them is to adapt to the local culture. Spain and Malaysia have a huge difference when it comes to culture. The first thing was the greeting, how to greet people in Spain. I had a full-on course with my partner on how to greet his family, his friends. So giving each other 2 kisses on the cheek. It was very awkward for me. It was very awkward for me at the beginning. I just didn't know, should I go first? Should I wait? Which side do I go? And sometimes it was just very confusing. And when I panic, I just extended my hand. And so that's like my panic button. When I just don't know what to do, I just extend my hand and hello, nice to meet you too. And somehow just talk in English. Having that said, if you're not comfortable by giving the 2 kisses on the cheek, you can always extend your hand and nothing's going to happen. I mean, the world's not going to end, and they're just going to think, okay, you're a foreigner. That's it. Simple as that. Let's move on. And then the next thing was that I also moved when it was winter. So it was my first proper winter. For a lot of people, they say that Spain has a very mild winter, which can be true sometimes. But for me, at that time, it was my first winter. It was really cold for me as well. So I was wearing layers of clothes, gloves, hat, scarf. And my partner would always say, you're just exaggerating. It's not that cold. It's not that cold. Everyone would say that to me all the time. It's not that cold, Ellie. But for me, it was. Coming from Asia, you're not used to having 4 different seasons, and you don't have winter. No matter how cold it gets, you don't have to wear a jacket. You just can still be with your flip-flops and shorts. Then, as a foreigner, I do get a lot of stares. Sometimes I just feel very uncomfortable with the stares. And I don't know, is it a good stare? Is it a bad stare? I just don't know. The fact of not knowing can just really bother you sometimes. So that also made me feel very uncomfortable. And you just doing your very best as a foreigner to adapt and be part of the community and respectful. And sometimes you just feel like your best just isn't good enough, or you feel just socially awkward at times. It did come to a point where I was very stressed and uncomfortable that I even stopped going out. Especially when it's winter, I do stay at home a lot. You see nowadays on social media, everyone's posting about how amazing and beautiful life can be in another country. But as I said, it's not always the same. It's the reality from one person to the other can be completely different, even though they're in the same place. That was something that definitely no one have warned me. And I think sometimes people just have this expectation, when you move to a new country, you just have to adapt everything so quickly and fast. But that's just not the case for a lot of us out there. Language. Of course, you move to Spain, the official language is Spanish. And whether you like it or not, you have to learn the language. The first few months that when you arrive to Spain, you have a lot of paperwork to do. And please, remove that thought from your head that you're going to find someone in the ayuntamiento, which is the town hall, that's going to be speaking in English and, guiding you things properly in English. That's not going to happen. Just remove that thought. Okay? I mean, yes, of course, I moved to Spain. What do you expect, right? You gotta speak Spanish. But I also wished that, okay, can't you see I'm a foreigner? Just help me out here a little bit. Sometimes you do find some local people that are kind enough to, try to speak to you with broken English, but at least they're trying, or just Google translate something for you. But most of the time, they don't care. No. Depending again where you are in Spain, maybe if you're in Madrid or Barcelona, bigger cities, yeah, you can find more people speaking in English. But most of the time, you have to speak in Spanish and you have to try to find a way. So that was very difficult also at the beginning when I was trying to have conversations. I noticed something that they don't have the patience to listen to you. It's almost like you have to fight for their attention and they interrupt you almost all the time. And I found this very true just by watching some of their programs on the TV. And I could see that no one was listening to anyone. Everyone was shouting at the same time, talking at the same time over the other person. So I kind of got the idea, like, okay, I see where this is coming from. Try to have conversations. I don't have a perfect Spanish, so I'm trying to put the words together, translating things in my head and forming a sentence. And by the time I try to say something, somebody else has already cut me, and now the conversation has changed into a different topic. I felt like it is offensive, I think, for a lot of us, right? But I think I've gotten used to it. So if you don't know the language and you struggle, you have to fight for people's attention sometimes, I think. Maybe I'm not interesting enough. My opinions or point of views don't matter. And oftentimes when we are in a group setting, I would just listen or just tune out. So this brings me to my third point, where at the beginning it really shocked me how opinionated and straightforward Spanish people are. I think in general, Europeans are. So when I first started dating my partner, I was quite surprised with his bluntness. And I often told him, like, you're so blunt, you're so direct, like there's no censor, But I also get his point that it's better to be straightforward and honest than to pretend about something, which is true. There's no need to, is it play behind the bushes or bit behind the bushes or hide? There's no need to hide behind the bushes. I don't know if that's the correct way of saying it. But anyways, so besides the language barrier, right? If you're not able to form your thoughts and opinion in Spanish, people are going to assume that you're okay with everything. Now, they all have their opinions. They will say what they feel. And let's say they said something to you, which is not true. And then if you don't know how to voice that out and say to them, like, no, that's not true. And they would just assume that, you're okay with it. So you have to find your voice. And that also took me a long time to build that. It's like building my character as well, right? This really helped me to be more outspoken and especially, saying no to things that I just didn't like or I didn't find comfortable with it, because they're very opinionated and they don't think twice to say something that's on their mind. This is very different from us in Asia. We were taught to be, always respectful and just thinking twice before to say something. So before I would share my thoughts and opinion with someone, I would always think, how is this going to sound? How is this going to make them feel? And is it necessary? Even though my opinion is different from this person, but is it really necessary for me to share this with them? So I can see that in Spain, none of this matters. It's just what I feel. This aspect can be a learning curve for a lot of us Asians. I think having the balance of sharing your opinions and thoughts in a respectful way without having to hurt another person's feeling. I still don't get it. Why should my opinion offend this person? But another way of looking at it, if you're offended, that's not my problem. That's your way of taking things, which, can be true in some ways. Something that I found very similar to Malaysia over here in Spain is the bureaucracy. Yes, anything to do with the government takes time, forever. So your first month here is you're going to be doing a lot of paperwork. You're going to be visiting the ayuntamiento, which is the town hall, all the time, because you need to submit your papers, you need to fill up forms. And so how is it going to be like? So on the day of your appointment, you might meet with Juan, who will tell you, okay, come back the next day and bring me these documents. The next day, you meet with Maria, and then Maria tells you, te falta un papel, which means you're missing a document. Come back another day, make sure you ask for another appointment and bring me this document. You come back on another day and now meet with Carlos, who tells you an entire, complete different story. Sounds very familiar for a lot of people. You not only have to wait for weeks to get your appointments, but then when you do go on your appointment, people give you wrong information. Sometimes I feel like even between themselves, they don't really know what they're doing, what is the actual requirement. And I've faced a lot of situations where one person told me something and then meeting another person tells me a complete different story. So my advice to you is to do a proper research on all your documents that you need, anything that has to do with paperwork, search about it. And if you can hire someone to help you with this, it's going to, really save you a lot of time, effort, and a peace of mind. Because when you don't know the language and you go there, it's going to be very frustrating. Because as I said, forget about meeting someone in ayuntamiento that's going to speak to you in English and guide you through all this. If you speak the language, perfect. You're going to get the assistance that you need. So it can be very overwhelming and frustrating when it comes to dealing with these documents and paperworks with government. Besides that, as I mentioned, you need to speak the language because all of your dealings are going to be in Spanish. Medical checkups, everything is in Spanish. So what I do, some terminologies that I just really don't know how to say it in Spanish, I prepare everything in advance in my phone, I save everything, and then when I meet with my doctor, I just open my phone and I say everything of all the things that I want to talk about. Making friends in Spain, is it easy? Is it difficult? Well, my personal opinion, I think it's challenging. I don't think so it's as easy as it was back in Malaysia. Also because of the language barrier. And I feel that some people just don't have the patience to even let me finish my sentence. This has happened so many times when I'm trying to say something and talk. People just interrupt me and just cut me off. And I just sort of just shut down. And then people might think, oh, she's very unfriendly. But it's not the case. It's just that when you're trying to talk and somebody keeps interrupting you, you'll come to the point of just like, okay, you know what? My opinions, my thoughts doesn't really matter. So I might as well just shut up. And sometimes I do get the feeling that when I'm trying to make friends with people, I don't know, I just get the feeling that they think that I want something from them. Or when I'm approaching someone just to like, in a very nice way, like just to ask for the time or something, I just feel like their first reaction is like, oh, what do you want? But overall, I think Spanish people are very friendly. They're very nice. But maybe when it comes to friends, I think as a foreigner, maybe people are more cautious, people are more careful in accepting you in their circle. So I think it takes time, but I also do think that making friends is a two-way effort, not just one person putting in all the effort. It takes two people to build a friendship. So speaking about relationships, a lot of the relationship that I have back at home has definitely changed. Being away for so many years, some relationships just didn't last between my friends or with some of my family members. And I think that's okay because not all relationships are meant to last forever. Some people are just meant to enter your life for a period of time and then they leave. But my relationship with my family, I think, has definitely improved. We talked about so many really deep, meaningful things with each other. We talk about a lot of things that we would have never talked about before. We exchange some of the very private thoughts or feelings that I have. I think I would have never shared it with my mother, for example, but now I'm able to share these things with her. So it's hard sometimes. You miss your family so much, and it's not like an hour flight or a 3 hours drive with the car. It takes me almost 2 days to get back home with transits and the time to fly and all that. So it's not close, it's not easy. So if you're thinking about moving to Spain, go for it. Go for it. I wish you an amazing start in this country, and I wish you all the best in all the adventures that you're about to experience in Spain, because it is an amazing place. But just come prepared, and not just, when it comes to having all the documents and the money and your passport and your suitcases. But I think being mentally prepared is more important than anything else, because no matter what the situation is, no matter what the problem that arises, you are prepared to navigate through this, solve it, and just, think positive to find a solution to it. So, but when you're not mentally prepared, the smallest thing can just bring you down and just make you feel like giving up, because there's going to be those moments that you're going to feel like giving up and just thinking, what have I done? Why did I come here? I should just go back to my countries. You will find yourself in those moments. It is bound to happen. It's natural. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to answer your questions. And please let us know in the comments, what is your experience like moving to Spain? And if your experience is similar to mine or different, let us know. Thanks for watching and take care. Hasta luego.